What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're taking a look at a little thing called the ISMC mod, which is basically a realism mod, and I'm going to show you real quick. Look at all of the guns that you get access to. Look at that. Now compared to stock game, they obviously have all of the stock guns in here, but they have a lot of additions. You got the Canadian M4 equivalent or M16 equivalent there. Feel free to pause it and take a look at these different guns that are all available. Now, one thing that I really want to point out too real quick is this. You have so many attachments here, and a lot of them are based off of real companies. So you have Vortex, Trigicon, Walter, XPS, Aimpoint, Loophole, you know, a lot of really cool things going on for this modification that the normal base game doesn't have. Of course, the barrel, you have a bunch of different options, lots of suppressors, muzzle brakes, things like that. And you can see what it does in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's going to affect your velocity and vertical recoil, things like that. So underbarrels as well. So many different options compared to those 4 stock options you have for the base game. Different mags as well, 60 rounder. Lots of different side rails, which is really nice. I'm currently rocking the blue laser IR and flashlight combo, which is pretty cool. Different charging handles as well, different pistol grips. These don't really have any impact, but you can see there are 3 points for each of those canted high options there at the bottom. Bunch of different stocks. Now you have 2 different options for miscellaneous, which is pretty interesting. You have faster reloads and laser point shooting. And then they have the operator's training, which faster reload for a more realistic pace. Different aesthetics that you can put on without even having to have any DLC, which is nice. And then they have the tracer, armor piercing, and hollow point. Now, for those of you that played the original Insurgency, this is going to come to no surprise to you that they have these as options, because that was something that had been in the game from the first Insurgency, which is pretty cool. They have some nice secondaries in here. A huge list, laundry list of different guns that you can use. Check this out though. Put a Mossberg 590 as your secondary, which I think is pretty cool. And they have the actual company, so FN, you know, Glock, the Mossberg, S&W, Smith & Wesson, Beretta. They have the actual names on them, which is kind of cool. And of course, all the different options that you would imagine for these different guns. Basically, how I would equate this game to is taking the experience, making it a lot more of a true tactical first-person shooter because of the amount of options that you have. Now, what is great about this is that they don't just have hardcore. They have regular core where it's the same speed and movement style that you would see in the non-modded version of the game. The different plate carriers that they have available. You got the 511 TacTech Multicam, TacTech Tan, the Cree Precision, and then they also have the JPC, which is, that's the one that I actually have in real life, the JPC 2.0, which I thought was pretty cool. They also have a JPC in Tan, and then a TacTech Legacy. Now, one thing that's cool is the ceramic plates versus Kevlar. You can see how much it drops your weight percentage, which is super nice in case you need to, of course, drop the weight a little bit, but you're still going to get that coverage. However, ceramic is obviously going to be a better option for stopping more rounds. They also have a lot of maps that are only to the ISMC mod, but the guns, they all just look fantastic, and everything just seems to really mesh well in this mod. The only downside I would say to this modification is that there aren't very many people playing it compared to the normal amount. And the servers can be very hard to get into because of the amount of people that are trying to play this. It's not nearly as large.
Observer, this is station. Fire support is on standby. Just say the word.
Explosive ready.
Now, does this mod do anything completely different? It is a conversion mod. Yes, it is. And it's a realism mod where they're taking a lot of different things and improving on it, in my opinion. If Insurgency, the base game, had all of this stuff, I think it would give a lot more life and longevity to the game because it is giving you more access to different things that you don't have access to right now. Even if it is cosmetic for the most part, or they could even make all those different attachments do different things to the gun, similar to what we have in games like Modern Warfare or the Battlefield series and franchises. Now, another question I'm sure I'm going to hear is this coming to console? This is a no. They released an FAQ that said modding is not going to be at launch of the console version of the game. However, it is a consideration in the future. So I know console players, you're probably sitting there either punching the air right now or smacking your desk, but That's the thing right now is to consider, is that once that game gets a little bit more solid on console, it's possible that this mod may come. However, we haven't really seen much modding come to console gaming, so we'll see if this ends up happening or if it's all just talk from the Insurgency developers as a way to try and appease the console gamers and saying, oh, it might happen, we don't know. So very simple, ladies and gents. In order to download this mod, what you are going to do is either one of two things. One, you can go into the mods, and over here you can just type in ISMC, and you can see that they have the resources here. Whatever map or place that you join, so if we go to play community servers, you can just type in ISMC right here and search by ISMC. And if you join that server, it will automatically download what you need for that server. Now, just be patient. It may take some time to download all of those different files, but you can see there are a couple of different ISMC official servers, as well as a lot of people that are running their own server. And again, take a look here. Lots of co-op going on. There's maybe a couple matches that are doing team deathmatch or some different type of game modes that are PvP. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of it is very much PvE. I'm playing at 5 p.m. on a Sunday. That's 5 p.m. Central Time. So this is something to consider if you are looking at getting into this mod. You will definitely find a server that will at least have players in it. I can guarantee you that. However, as far as the full understanding of how many people are actually engaged in the ISMC, definitely not a big chunk of the community. When you look at the entirety of people playing right now, it's currently 3,366 at this time. Quick thing to note about that though, with those custom servers, is that each server runs something differently. So taking a look here, you can see that the different classes give you different gendered characters, as well as different opportunities for different guns, versus some of the other ones that we saw where it was red 4, blue 4. Those ones obviously are specific to every single gun you have access to, versus this marksman class that has that. So each server is going to run theirs a little bit differently in how they utilize the different aspects of vanilla versus adding in a bunch of new things to the game. This game doesn't come without its glitches. As you can see, the gun kind of jumping around when I'm switching between the flashlight, the laser point, that's all just something that, you know, this is a mod to the original game, so these are things that you will experience when you are playing it, that not everything is completely smooth, but it feels pretty darn good for a modification. If there's anything that they could take away from this mod and implement into the game, I would have to say that the laser aim point shooting is definitely something they should really strongly consider adding. It's a super nice addition to the game, being able to just use the laser point that you have in order to utilize and not have to ADS. End of the day, a lot of this is just very much cosmetic looking and adding a lot of longevity to the game as far as different maps, attachments, guns. The customization is through the roof, and it reminds me of Battlefield 4 almost. The biggest problem I'm noticing with the PvP aspect of it is the fact that you have a lot of people that can spawn camp. There is a spawn protection, however, as you saw when I was running away from where I spawned, I should say, I got absolutely destroyed by some guy that was camping right here, and I ended up killing him, but I was spawn protected. However, he still got me because I saw the round come in and hit me. I just didn't know if there was a teammate messing around with me or not, so. I think the biggest issue that the maps have just in general is a lack of ambient noise, at least in the very, very custom maps, such as like this one, Dust 2, and in Operation Metro. There is no ambient noise such as wind or something to kind of give you a feeling of an atmosphere. But you can see that I am getting experience within the game, which is big, because if you are playing this, you don't want to be playing it for, I guess, no reason, if you want to put it that way. In my opinion, I think it's still nice to be able to work towards something and get that XP, which, if you look at the server browser, you will be able to see almost every single one of them is available in gaining XP. But basically, different servers have different things. You can see this server specifically has a lot of different maps that you can play on, a lot of different things that you notice, but they have one that looks like you play as miniatures on a kitchen. So there's different things that they have within the game that very much remind me of the old Counter-Strike Source days and the custom maps that they used to bring into that, which is very fun. They like to heavy stack certain teams. Nobody wants to really work on auto balancing because they don't care, because they don't have to, because there's no auto balancing that exists. So PvP definitely is frustrating at times and definitely doesn't seem like the go-to path for this game mode. It is a blast. I'm having so much fun. It has changed the escape of how I've been enjoying Insurgency, because a lot of it is more or less, it's kind of the same when you jump into a game, but it's very fun to get a different variety of gameplay, different guns that you can get access to, because we know that the updates come pretty much quarterly. We have Operation Glass House on its way somewhat soon, so excited to see what's going to happen with that, but ISMC is definitely livening things up for me.
I get the shivers whenever I'm thinking about you. Just wanna live and live with